With one hand he caught hold of her, and with the other he took out from his ear the rod, which with one shake grew to the thickness of a bowl. That Rak Asi, however, managed somehow to struggle free and turned to meet him with upraised swords. Pilgrim, of course, followed up at once and struck her with the rod. Before the Jade Cloud Mountain, the two of them discarded any fraternal sentiments. They were driven only by animosity. This was some battle. The lady's a fiend deft in magic arts, who hates the monkey because of her son. Though Pilgrim's anger has been much aroused, he still, for master's sake, defers to her, saying at first he wants the palm leaf fan, and not using might on the gentle one. Foolish Rak Asi slashes with her sword, though Monkey King would claim relations first. How could a woman battle with a man? Who, after all, would a woman suppress? How ferocious is this one's golden hooped iron rod? How thick and fast are that one's blue and frosty blades? A blow on the face, a slash on the head. They bitterly fight and refuse to quit. Left and right they parry with martial skill. Back and front they cover most craftily. In their battle they are so wholly wrapped that they hardly notice the sun has set. Swiftly Rak Asi takes out her true fan, and one wave brings the gods in ghosts' distress. Rak Asi fought with Pilgrim until dark. When she saw how heavy the rod of Pilgrim was and what great skills he had as a fighter, she knew that she could not prevail against him. She took out her palm leaf fan and fanned Pilgrim once. A strong gust of cold wind at once blew him completely out of sight while she returned to her cave in triumph. Drifting and soaring in the air, our great sage could not stop at all. He sank to the left, but he was unable to touch ground. He dropped to the right, but he could not remain still. The wind bore him away like a cyclone dispatching fallen leaves, a stream sweeping some withered flowers. On he tumbled for a whole night, and only by morning did he finally drop down on a mountain. Hugging a rock on the summit with both his hands, he rested for a long while before he looked around. Then he recognized that this was the little Sumeru mountain. Heaving a lengthy sigh, our great sage said, "What a formidable woman! How in the world did she manage to send old Monkey back to this place? I remember I once asked for the assistance of the Bodhisattva Lingji, here some years past, to subdue the fiend Yellow Wind, in order to rescue my master. The Yellow Wind Ridge is about 3,000 miles due north of here. Since I'm blown back here from the road to the west, I must have traveled in a southeasterly direction for who knows how many tens of thousands of miles. I think I'd better go down there to talk to the Bodhisattva Lingji, and see if I can find my way back." As he thought to himself like that, he heard loud chiming bells. He hurried down the slope to reach the temple, where he was recognized by the worker at the front gate, who immediately went inside to announce, "The hairy-faced great sage who came some years back to ask the Bodhisattva to go subdue the fiend Yellow Wind is here again." Knowing it was Wukong, the Bodhisattva quickly left his treasure throne to meet his visitor and to greet him, saying, "Congratulations! Have you acquired the scriptures already?" "Not quite, not quite," replied Wukong. "It's still too early. If you have not yet reached Thunderclap," said Lingji, "why is it that you have returned to this humble mountain?" Pilgrim said, "Since that year when you were kind enough to help us subdue the fiend Yellow Wind, we have gone through countless ordeals on our journey. We have now arrived at the Mountain of Flames, but we can't proceed. When we asked the natives there, they said that the palm leaf fan belonging to an immortal iron fan could extinguish the fire. Old Monkey went to visit her and discovered that that immortal was in fact the wife of the Bull Demon King, the mother of Red Boy. Because she claimed that she could no longer see her son frequently since I had sent him to be the youth attendant of the Bodhisattva Guanyin, she regarded me as her worst enemy, refused to lend me the fan, and fought with me. When she saw how heavy my rod was, she fanned me once with her fan and I drifted all the way back here before I dropped down. That's why I have intruded upon your abode to ask you for the way back. How many miles are there from here to the Mountain of Flames?" Laughing, Ling Ji replied. That woman is named Rak Asi, and she's also called Princess Iron Fan. Her palm leaf fan happens to be a spiritual treasure begotten of heaven and earth at the back of Mount Kunlun at the time when chaos divided. It is a finest leaf of the supreme yin, and that is why it can extinguish all fires. If a man is fanned by it, he will drift for 84,000 miles before the cold wind subsides. There are only some 50,000 miles between my place here and the Mountain of Flames. It is only because the great sage has the ability to halt the clouds that he is able to stop. No mortal person can possibly stand still after such a short distance. Formidable! Formidable! Exclaimed Pilgrim. How could my master overcome this hurdle? Relax, great sage, said Ling Ji. It is actually the affinity of the Tang monk that you have landed here. This will ensure your success. How so? Asked Pilgrim, and Ling Ji said, in years past, when I received the instructions from Tathagata, I was given a flying dragon staff and a wind-arresting elixir. The staff was used to subdue the wind demon, but the elixir has never been used. I'll give it to you now, and you can be certain that that fan will not be able to move you. You can take the fan, extinguish the fire, and achieve your merit then. Pilgrim bowed deeply at once to thank him, whereupon the Bodhisattva took out from his sleeve a tiny silk bag in which there was the wind-arresting elixir. The pellet was firmly sewn onto the underside of Pilgrim's collar with needle and thread. Then the Bodhisattva saw Pilgrim out the door, saying, There's not time for me to entertain you. Go toward the northwest and you'll find the mountain home of Rak Asi. Taking leave of Ling Ji, Pilgrim mounted the cloud somersault and went back to the Jade Cloud Mountain. In a moment he arrived and, beating the door with his iron rod, shouted, Open the door! Open the door! Old Monkey wants to borrow the fan. The maid inside the door hurriedly went to report. Madam, the person who wants to borrow the fan is here again. On hearing this, Rak Asi became fearful, saying, This wretched ape's truly able. When I fan someone with my treasure, he'll have to drift 84,000 miles before he can stop. This ape was blown away not long ago. How could he return so soon? This time, I'm going to fan him 3 or 4 times so that he won't be able to come back at all. She got up quickly, and after putting on her armor properly, she picked up both of her swords and walked out of the door, saying, Pilgrim son, aren't you afraid of me? Are you here seeking death once more? Don't be so stingy, sister-in-law, said Pilgrim, chuckling. Please lend me your fan. I'm a gentleman with an excess of honesty, not a small man who doesn't return what he borrows. You brazen baboon, scolded Rak Asi. You're so impudent, so empty-skulled. I have yet to avenge the wrong of having my son taken. How could I possibly grant you the wish of borrowing the fan? Don't run away. Have a taste of this old lady's swords. Our great sage, of course, was not to be intimidated. He wielded the iron rod to meet her. The two of them charged each other and closed in some 6 or 7 times, when Rak Asi's arms began to weaken even as Pilgrim Sun grew stronger than ever. When she saw that the tide was turning against her, she took out the fan and fanned Pilgrim once. He, however, stood there without moving at all. Putting away his iron rod, he said to her, full of smiles, This time is not the same as last time. You can fan all you want. If old monkey budges a teeny bit, he's not a man. Rak Asi indeed gave him a couple more, but he remained unmoved. Horrified, Rak Asi put away her treasure and dashed inside the cave, tightly shutting the doors behind her. When Pilgrim saw her shutting the doors, he resorted to his other abilities. Tearing open his collar, he took out the wind-arresting elixir and placed it in his mouth instead. With one shake of his body, he changed into a tiny mole cricket and crawled inside through a crack in the door. There he found Rak Asi crying, I'm terribly thirsty. Bring me some tea. The maid attending her took up a pot of fragrant tea, and filled the cup so hurriedly that bubbles welled up. Delighted by what he saw, Pilgrim spread his wings and dived right into the bubbles. As she was extremely thirsty, Rak-Asi grabbed the tea and finished it in 2 gulps. Pilgrim by then already reached her stomach. Changing back into his true form, he shouted, "Sister-in-law, lend me your fan." Turning white, Rak-Asi cried, "Little ones, have you shut the front door?" "We have." They all replied, "If you have shut the door," she said, "then how is it that Pilgrim's son is making noises in our house?" "He's making noises in your body," said one of the maids. "Pilgrim's son," said Rak-Asi. "Where are you playing your tricks? Old monkey in all his life hasn't known how to play tricks," said Pilgrim. "What I rely on are all real competences, genuine abilities. I'm now having a little fun in my esteemed sister-in-law's stomach. I am, as the saying goes, seeing right through you. I know how thirsty you must be, so let me send you a sitting bowl to relieve your thirst." Suddenly he shoved his foot down hard and unbearable pain shot through Rak-Asi's lower abdomen, sending her tumbling to the floor and moaning. "Please don't refuse me, sister-in-law," said Pilgrim. "I'm presenting you with an added snack for your hunger." He jerked his head upward, and unbearable pain coursed through Rak-Asi's heart.